On this episode of Be the Teacher, completing a character analysis. We are going to talk about character analysis for an actor, but the truth is, anyone can complete a character analysis. For example, someone in an English class may be reading a book or a play, and by completing a character analysis of a particular character, either something that's forced upon you by your teacher or that you choose to do, you'll have a better understanding of the book, the events of the book, and the characters within that book or that play. But like I said, for this particular Be the Teacher, I'll talk about character analysis for an actor. Acting technique is paramount to anyone who wants to be a serious actor. It's quite easy to imitate a character or even an emotion, but where's the depth in that? How can you sustain or repeat again what you might have found intuitively? Do you even know what you did or how you did it? The technique, however, will help you find a character, which in turn informs how you approach the text, script, and written word. But still, how do you bring the dialogue alive? How do you know what choices to make? The goal of a trained actor is to become a fully realized three-dimensional character with a rich backstory. You must believe in the character you play, and you must believe that character is truthful, not a cliche, not a character, not a thin external representation of someone who barely resembles a human being. You must believe in what you say, and you must believe what you're saying is real. You can't just recite, spout, or comment. In order to understand, you must complete a character analysis. All professional actors and students studying to be actors complete character analysis. This technique is based around Stanislavski's acting technique and questions the actor had to ask him or herself to become a fully realized character. Now, when it's time for you to complete a character analysis, you'll come to my website. And you'll go to your class page by clicking on Homework Central and by clicking on your class page. Next, you'll download the format for a character analysis, which is posted online. Once you download the file, you'll open it up. Now, to start your character analysis, you're going to want to make sure that you have a firm understanding of your play from beginning to end. Consider the overall scene and the play performance and answer all the questions using the pronoun I. For example, when completing a character analysis, if you're playing a character named Bobby, you wouldn't say, Bobby wants to get revenge. Instead, you would say, I want to get revenge, or I want to steal $10. So, in my character analysis, I used some of Stanislavski, that's the big acting teacher back in the early 1900s. I used some of his questions that he used with actors to get them to think about their character. First, your character has an overall want that is part of the entire scene or play. So the first thing you have to ask yourself, why am I doing what I am doing? Remember, you want to measure this physically, so we give ourselves an object. We say, what do I physically want to do? Well, for example, let's just say that your character wants love. Well, let me show you what love looks like when you're listening to an audiobook. It looks like this. Could you hear me trying to get all of you to love me? No. What your character should want is something physical, something that you can measure, something that when you accomplish the goal, you can see it, taste it, touch it, smell it. So I should specifically want something like, I want you all right now to tell me how much you love me. Go ahead. When I hear how much you love me, when I hear you saying the words out loud, I'll know that I've accomplished my goal. And let me show you what that looks like. Hey everyone. If you tell me you love me right now, then I'll give you an A+ on your character analysis, whether you complete it or not. Did any of you yell that you love me out loud? If you did, then I accomplished my goal. See, I got a physical, tangible goal that I could measure. So ask yourself, what does your character physically want to do? You may also consider the obstacle in the way of your character, who, or in some cases what, is preventing you from doing what you want. It could be a character, or it could be something in nature like a tornado or a storm or a fire. Once you figure out what you physically want and who or what is in your way of getting what you want, then you have to think, what are you going to do about it? For example, I bribed you. That was the tactic I took. I bribed you. Bribed you to say that you love me. To carry out a strategy and, in the next part, action, characters many times take on different tactics. A tactic is something that your character does to get what he or she wants. Again, I tried to bribe you. So what is your character going to do to get what he or she wants? And if we scroll down, how is he or she going to do it? For example, I said it over the microphone and then made you listen to this video so that you had to listen to me bribe you. What are the steps that your character is going to take to get what he or she wants, to employ the strategy you've come up with? And what is the result of your actions? Sometimes with strategy, we outline what the character's expectation is, the perfect case scenario of what he or she in the moment thinks is going to happen. And when we get into action, many times it all goes wrong. So what is the result of your actions? What actually happens? You see, this gets into the stakes. Many times a character can get something, and there's always the potential that he or she could lose something. And you have to ask yourself, if your plan goes correctly, or if you're able to survive what actually happens, what does your character stand to lose? And what does your character stand to gain? All right, that's the first part of a character analysis. You should always try to answer those 7 questions, but there are other questions you might consider too. For my character analysis, I give you a list of 16 questions, and I ask you to choose 8 of the questions to answer, and I give you space to answer those questions over 2 pages. So here are the 16 questions I think you should ask yourself. What kind of family did you come from? How did you interact with your family growing up? Again, you're answering all of these questions from the perspective of your character, and you always want to use the word I. So you would say, I had a great family growing up, and stuff like that. Of what social status and how much wealth did your family have? How have health issues influenced your life? How intelligent are you, and how much education do you have? Are you street smart or book smart? What do you do for a living? How old are you? What are your religious and spiritual beliefs? What kind of clothes do you prefer? How emotionally expressive are you? Do you put it all out there or do you keep it all in? And in what ways do you express your emotion? If you keep it all in, how do you get rid of that emotion? And if you put it out there, what does that look like? How would you describe yourself? Are you temperamental, moody, expressive, explosive, calm, positive, quiet, passive, negative, withdrawn? What is your sense of humor like? What is your best trait? What is your worst trait? What is your relationship to the other characters in the play? And how do you treat other characters? Now, when it's time for you to answer any of these questions, you will use the squares provided. First, you don't have to rewrite the question. All you have to do is put the number question that you're answering, and you put that in this big box here. Then in these 4 lines, you would answer the question. If you want, you can write really small to maximize your space. You can even answer on loose leaf, or you can provide the simplest possible answer in the space provided. The fact is, some of you will write a lot and have an awful analysis. Some of you will write a lot and have a great analysis. And the same thing goes for a short answer. Some short answers will be correct. Some short answers won't. All you need to know is that answers that really take your character into consideration and use the play to fully flesh out your character will probably turn out to be great answers that help you to create a dynamic character. Now, the last page is rapid fire. You're going to answer each of the questions that I provided in as few words as possible. Now, this is broken into 2 sections, movement and voice. Let's start with the movement questions. Here are some questions you can ask yourself, and you want to answer in as few words as possible. Get to the point. So, what is your posture like? You see, a character isn't just expressed through his ideas and his beliefs. We explored that in the first parts of the character analysis. The character is also expressed in the body. So, what is your posture like? How do you walk? How do you use your hands? What are your distinctive facial expressions? Are your gestures large and wide or small and contained? Do you have a master gesture? You see, all of these questions get into the physical movement of your body, and a lot can be expressed to an audience through the physical movement of your body. Some of these characters will have a master gesture. For example, Charlie Chaplin. Look at this picture here. He clearly had a master gesture. And other people have had master gestures too, like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and Hagar from the Harry Potter series, and Golem from the Lord of the Rings series. They all had a specific way that they moved that is memorable to the people who watched those movies. What is the rhythm and tempo of your movements? Just like your speech has a rhythm and tempo, so do your movements, and it says a lot about your character. Do you have a clear leading center? Now, a leading center is a part of your body that your character leads with. For example, if you were a bodybuilder, where would you place that character? You would move from the place where you put that character. If you were an old angry man, where would you place that character? Where would you move from? If you were an Olympic gymnast, what would be your leading center? Do you enjoy moving, or do you have difficulty in moving? And how does emotion affect your movement? I bet your character moves different when he or she is angry than not angry. Also, how do your movements reveal what you are thinking or what you are feeling, even if your words say something else? You know what that's like. Sometimes your body is saying one thing, but your words are saying another. Now, the next set of questions are vocal questions, voice questions. And again, characters are expressed not only in their thoughts and emotions and in their spiritual beliefs, but in their movement and their voice, the type of voice that character has. What is the average pitch, rhythm, and tempo of the words and sentences you use? Do you enjoy talking? Do you have any speech problems? How does your emotion affect your speech problems? We all know how we talk when we get angry. We all have a way, and for each of us it's different. What is it like for your character? What qualities does your voice have? How does your voice reveal what you are thinking and feeling? And this is a big one. We've got to go into the script and some of our scenes for this. What words do you emphasize? You might want to pick 10 to 15 words that you know you will emphasize all throughout the performance. Do you speak with an accent? Accents say a lot about a character. The fact is, these are just some of the things that we can ask ourselves. This is just a start. To become the character, we really must explore what motivates your character, where your character is coming from. And we do that by looking at the text to see what the character says, what the character does, and what happened before the character even took stage. The fact is great acting, like great writing, is often in the eye of the beholder, but audiences almost know when they are in the presence of something special. Talent may be enough to get by on screen and TV, but with a few notable exceptions, such as, well, I won't mention names, the untrained actor often fares badly on stage. The performances that most often thrill us are those where instinct and technique are both in perfect balance. The character analysis is just one way to start preparing your performance. Many actors have tricks to help them along the way, but external props and tricks don't make someone a great actor. You can teach people timing, you can teach them how to stand, you can give them the infrastructure that allows them to take risks, but you can't teach them to be in touch with their character. All great actors are in touch with their character, and that's what makes them distinctive. Fiona Shaw, Claire Higgins, Michael Gambon, Judi Dench. It's as if there's something coiled inside each of these actors, restless, and it's just struggling to get out. You see, they understand who their character fully is, and when they let that character out, the stage ignites.